Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. This is Beyond the Feature. Now, if you're new here, welcome. If you've been with me for a while, you'll feel a little bit of different energy today and as we move forward, because we're going to start talking about training techniques that pull the changes out and impact the growth. In the past, we talked about the foundation, right? You got to do the foundation first. Well, now we're going to talk about those techniques that really impact the growth. So, this season is all about training that pays for itself, not because we teach more features, but because we shift how people use the features they already have. I'm going to keep it practical, straight talk, and still rooted in real work. Now, today's tool that we're going to talk about is a mindset micro intervention. Those are three words that can really change your Monday, right? So, what is a mindset micro intervention? Let me explain it in the simplest way I know. A mindset micro intervention is a tiny scripted moment that happens right before the work begins. It takes 2 or 3 minutes. It reframes the story people are telling themselves. So the next click is the right one by default. It's not a workshop. It's not a lecture. It's not a new policy. It's just one clear sentence with one visible action in the real space where the work lives, right? We've talked about that. So, why does that matter for return on investment? Because licenses don't produce value. If that were the case, every organization with a license would run at optimal efficiency. It's the habits that we embrace that make the difference. These habits follow the story we believe when we're under pressure. Change the story at any moment of use, and your investment starts compounding. So, what real problem does this solve? You've seen it play out. You roll out links, not attachments. Everyone nods. Monday morning, final version 9, really final is attached in your inbox. So, that isn't a knowledge gap. That's a story gap. The old story says attachments are faster. The new story says one place, one version. The document is in the room. It actually is the room because that's where the work gets done. So a micro intervention swaps those stories before the first click. Then the feature training can actually work, right? Then you learn about the features that you can work on that with. But getting there is the important thing. So where it fits in the day. Think of it as a short chain, right? Something triggers the work. You choose where it lives. You do the small ritual that keeps it aligned. You decide, you leave a trace. We've talked about that. A micro intervention sits right after the trigger and right before you choose the space in the ritual. It's a breath. It's a reset. It's a line in the sand that says, from this point on, we work in the open in one place with a visible decision. So here's what it kind of sounds like with some examples we've used with others in the past, right? So let me give you 3 quick scenes. It's not a tool tour. This is just the feel of it, okay? So here's the first one. It's a Teams and Loop kind of scenario. The trigger, a leader posts, we need a 1-pager by Friday. So I've answered with a short line in the thread, and it's just a tiny move. The document is the room. One place, one version. Then I paste a loop component with 3 rows. What we know, what we don't, and what's on point. It's alive in the thread, right? So people start typing. I promote that into a loop page, name it in a human language we can all understand, paste the link back, and add a 2-line decision header at the top. Boom. That's the intervention. 30 seconds of language, 90 seconds of setup, and the work now has a shared home and a finish line you can see. Here's another one. It's SharePoint with a channel description, right? So the trigger is the same 3 questions every week. Where is it? Which version? Who can edit it? I say 1 sentence in the channel. From now on, this lives here. 1 click, 1 home. I rename the library so a human can understand it, pin a Start Here page, and paste that link into the channel description. The place becomes obvious. You can feel the room relax because they know where the work's going to be. And here's the last one. It's Outlook approvals, right? So here's a trigger. A manager replies approved to a long email thread. Next week, nobody can find it. So here's the micro intervention. Approvals live where the work lives. I create a simple decision log page, and in my next request, I write capturing approval here so we can find it in 10 seconds. And then I paste the link. From then on, we don't hunt. We point. None of that required a big rollout. Just one clear line and one visible move in the moment. So why this works? Now, this is the brain part, right? When the day is loud, people don't follow manuals. They follow short cues that feel safe and obvious. A 2-minute reframe respects cognitive load. One idea, one action, right where it's needed. It also shifts social proof. When you model the new behavior in public, others copy it without a memo. And here's the part leaders forget. The right 120 seconds at the start saves an hour at the end. That is return on investment you can feel that same week. So here's a 3-minute script that you can steal, right? That's the idea, takeaway. So use this at the top of a meeting, in a channel post, or right before you kick off a task. Say it in your own voice and don't overthink it. So right away, name the old story. Under pressure, we default to attachments, side chats. I'll clean that up later, stuff like that. That creates duplicates, access issues, and version arguments. And then next, you plant the new story. From this point forward, the work lives in one place everyone can reach. We'll share the link, work in the open, and write the decision at the top so we can find it in seconds. Now, here's the trick. Make one visible move. Open or create the shared page or file. Name it in human language and paste or pin the link where the next click already is. The channel description, the meeting invite, the email, and add a tiny header at the top. Purpose, decision we need next, and the owner approved by, right? The date. Then stop talking and start working in that space. That's where the work lives. And that's it. If someone asks, how do I set the right link or where do I comment? Perfect. Now you add the smallest skill boost, right? You point them to Microsoft 365 companion series or one of the Olympus Academy clips or courses, or give them a 90-second coaching really on how to do that. The training is the follow through, not the first swing. So here's 2 short stories with numbers you can take to your leadership if you're looking to validate this, right? So here's the 60-minute status that became 25. We started with a micro intervention, short meeting, visible decision. A living page already had a 3-line agenda seed and the decision header at the top. We ended the meeting with the decision written where everyone could see it. The next week, the same thing. So the minutes saved times the people times the frequency. That math wrote itself. We didn't get better at meetings. We changed the start of the meetings. And then here's another one, the attachment habit that just stopped, right? So one post in a channel, links, not attachments, one place, one version. We pinned the homepage. Next person who attached a file, a teammate replied with the link and the phrase. No lecture, no drama. Access and version pings dropped almost to 0. That's fewer interruptions, and that's more time on real work. So it's not always smooth sailing. There are objections, right? And here's how you answer them. So people sometimes say, hey, attachments are faster. Well, they feel faster because they're familiar. The micro intervention removes the hidden costs, copy pasting, which version can't access. Give it 5 business days and count the interruptions that don't happen. And then this is too basic. Good. Basic is repeatable. The micro intervention is not your entire training strategy. It's the front door. It's the door that's in the right place so you can add depth. And then another one is we need real training. Absolutely. And you'll get it. But training lands after people believe the news story. Otherwise, you're teaching clicks and no one uses it in the moment that it matters. So, as you know, I've got a book series and training series, and I even at Audit Solve do trainings with companies all over the country, right? So, with the companion series, those are quick pages that match the behavior, right? People have gotten the books and read them and grabbed the section they need, whether it's the troubleshooting or whatever. So that's kind of a feature path. And then the lessons that are on Olympus Academy, those are more the online trainings, right? You grab those, you just drip right out after the intervention. Boom, here you go, take this. That's features. And like I said, with Audit Solve, I have live and online training. If you and your team need real training, right? Teams channels, loop pages, SharePoint libraries, Outlook flows, we run that intervention in place, practice the move, and then coach to model it in the open. Practical, fast, measurable. Use any of those, all of them, but keep them in that order. Reframe it, tiny skill, and then practice in the real space. So now we're going to try one right now. If you're listening at a desk, do this with me. If you're driving or walking, just picture it, all right? Be safe. Think of the last thing your team shared by an attachment. See the moment. Hear the old story. This is quicker. Now, say the new story out loud if you can. The document is the room. One place, one version, and then decide in the document. Open the shared space for that work. If the space doesn't exist, create it and give it a human name. Paste or pin the link where the people will click next. Add that tiny header at the top, purpose, decision, owner. You just ran a micro intervention. The rest of the meeting will feel different because the start was different. So how do you measure the return without a dashboard? You ask yourself 3 questions every Friday for 2 weeks. Were our meetings shorter or clearer? Did can't access or which version interruptions drop? Could we point to last week's decision in under 10 seconds? If those trend the right way, you're getting a return. If you need to translate it into dollars, take minutes saved times people times frequency times a reasonable loaded rate, and then subtract the tiny cost of running the intervention. That number's not theoretical, but people will feel it. So, what to do this week? Pick one noisy workflow. Before you change a single setting, say the new story in one sentence. Make one visible move in the real space, and then offer the smallest possible skill nudge. That's it. No parade, no playbook, just a better start. So, a mindset micro intervention, those are small on purpose. They respect busy days, tight attention, and the reality that culture changes in moments, not in manuals. When you change the start, you change the outcome. That's how your Microsoft 365 spend becomes Monday morning value. Now, if you want to help run this inside your environment, channels, your pages, your approvals, I'm here. Reach out. If you just need the words, you've got them. You've got this course, you've got all of the other resources available, or reach out. All right. And I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. This is it. Thanks for listening. We're going to knock out some more in the next couple episodes, so be ready.